to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. It's been another tragic week as we've, the world's facing earthquakes again in Turkey, and, the amount of loss of life is just beyond belief, isn't it? I mean, we talk about these things on the show quite regularly, the weather events and the war in Ukraine and the different things that are happening around the world, and it's like the world is just becoming so much of a smaller place that it's almost like it's happening next door. That's the way that it seems to affect each and every one of us on an emotional level now. And I don't know that it's just that we've got more technology and we're seeing and hearing things in a much faster time frame than what we did. I think we are genuinely becoming more in tune with other parts of the world where once upon a time it was such a long way away that it didn't really emotionally touch us or affect us. And now that we're all sort of such seasoned travellers and, we have so many ways of viewing the world in our lounge rooms, on our devices, that, the world has become what seems to be a smaller place. So this week I want to share with you the Simply Tarot card of the week. Now, this is called the Five of Cups. Now, in all the years I've been teaching, my students see this card and they think, oh, no, I don't like the look of that. He's got his head bowed and he looks very miserable, and, oh, I don't think I like this card. This is the card of money losses. Now, when we talk about money losses, it's not necessarily losing money or having money stolen from you. It can mean that it's a very expensive time of the year where, every time you've got a little bit of income coming in or a little bit of money coming in, it's like you lose it again. It goes back out the door with someone else's name on it. So look at this as being an expensive time of the year, not necessarily are you losing money. All is not lost. If you look, you have something behind you to salvage. So if you look at the card here carefully, he's got 3 cups on the ground in front of him spilt, but he's still got 2 cups behind him remaining. So it's sort of no matter how difficult or how bleak your life may feel at the moment, or you might feel as if you're not in control or in the driver's seat, remember you still have something to salvage. Just because you're looking at what's ahead of you or what you've seemed to have lost or what you've had to let go of or the changes that have been thrust upon you, rest assured that there's something positive behind you, something that you haven't looked at, some sort of strength, some sort of resources there that you will be able to salvage out of this and move forward. So I think that's the important message this week, that we always have something positive behind us, that we always have something in the reserve tank somewhere. It's just a matter of we have to find it. And sometimes that's the hardest part, is sort of trying to pull on those reserves and say, okay, I can take a deep breath, I can go again. So, I think it's a very apt card to come out with, considering what's happening in Turkey at the moment. Those poor people there, our hearts and our prayers do go out to them, and let's hope they find many, many more live survivors. So moving on to the astrology section of the week, we have the sun still currently sitting in Aquarius for its last little jaunt there in Aquarius. It's only got a bit over a week to go. Roughly around the 22nd of the month is when the astrological energy changes from one sign to the other. So the sun at the moment is holding hands or conjunct Saturn. Saturn is the planet of discipline. It's the planet of structure. So what this means is it's not necessarily limiting all Aquarians. It means that it's asking you to find some very structured, very ordered ways of maximising the energy, maximising the sun's time in your sign. Is there changes that need to take place in your life? Is there things that need shoring up? Is there a new direction for you to embark on that will give you much, much more protection than what maybe you had previously? It's interesting because for many of us, we don't like change. We want to move forward. We want everything to be as we want it to be, and we want to be the ones in the driver's seat. We don't particularly like if something is thrust upon us. And I have many Aquarian friends and many Aquarian clients, and I know in this last 18 months it's been a little bit of a trial for most of them, because there's been changes thrust upon them that they weren't expecting. Things have changed and moved in their lives that they sort of thought they were on a secure path, and then all of a sudden there's been a sharp detour that they weren't expecting, and they've had to readjust their goals, their aspirations, their long-term plans. Once they've got their head around it and embraced the new direction that's being thrust upon them, they're actually finding so many more positives out of this, and sort of saying, wow, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have got this. So always look at the challenges that are presented to you as maybe an opportunity to improve your life, not necessarily are they negative. We also have Jupiter, the planet of opportunity and expansion and luck, is sitting in Aries at the moment, the first sign of the zodiac, but it's holding hands or conjunct Chiron. Now, Chiron is not actually a planet. It's where we look for in a person's astrology chart what's known as the wounded healer. It's where we need to heal ourselves. What have we brought in from a previous life that we need to look at, to heal ourselves, to move ourselves forward? So Jupiter here is conjunct with that, and it really is affecting Aries people at the moment. It's asking you, is there some changes that you need to make in your life? Is there ways that you can improve your physical or emotional well-being? Is there areas of your life that need attention? Is it time to sort of look at a new job, or maybe a new residence, or maybe a completely new way of life? Only the Aries people will understand what is being asked of them at the moment. And for some people, it's just a few minor tweaks and adjustments. And for other people, it's life-changing directions and decisions that are being made that, you know, some people are finding that the way that they've always lived is not conducive to their physical health, and they're starting to find their bodies wearing out. Other people, it's sort of having that great epiphany moment of the way that they've always dealt with things emotionally isn't necessarily the right way for them going forward. So whatever the changes might be, it is a time of great insight, of where we really get to understand each other, understand ourselves, and understand the next part of our journey. So this will overflow to the other fire signs as well, Leo and Sagittarius, not quite to the same extreme, but it is also asking them to sort of have a good, long, hard look at their lives and where it's going and what adjustments might need to be made. Now, for our dear little earth signs, particularly the Tauruses, we have the North Node, which again is not a planet, but it's showing us the way forward, is conjunct Uranus, the planet of the unusual and the unexpected. So for Taurians, there may be a little bit of turbulence ahead, but it's not necessarily turbulence that I think that we need to be concerned about. It's saying to us, if there is some turbulence there or some resistance, maybe you need to look at why you're resisting change, why you're resisting the breakthrough moments or the aha light bulb moments that are coming in, that you're fighting so hard because you don't want to make changes. And Taurians are known for that. They don't particularly like change. Even when they instigate it, they still sort of falter a little bit and say, oh, gee, I don't know whether today's the right day. Let's look at it again next week or next month or next year. And sometimes, you know, we run out of next year's or next days or next tomorrow's. It's today's the day. So there will be some opportunities there for some really big life-changing choices, but they don't always have to be life-changing. They can be small things that make such a big impact on our lives, and sometimes it's just a matter of accepting that some things we can't change and we go with the flow, and that might be all that's being asked here. If you've been stubbornly holding on to something that no longer serves you, just maybe surrender to it, let it go, and just go with the flow. And maybe that'll be the thing that sort of calms everything down, and you start to see some, you know, some positive, peaceful times ahead, which is what we're all aiming for. We all want a little bit of peace in our lives. You know, that's, I think, the most important theme of this year is people are searching for inner peace. We have Mercury, the planet of communication, is conjunct or holding hands. Pluto, the planet of transformation, in Capricorn. I know the astrology section seems very deep and very intense this week, and it is meant to be that way because we have so many conjunctions or so many configurations where a planet is holding hands with another planet or another luminary or another part of astrology. So these are intense moments. These are moments that we shouldn't ignore. So it's the time now, if any sign, and I'm going to say particularly Capricorns, but any sign here that has a conversation that they need to have that is of a powerful nature, something you've been putting off, something you've been avoiding because you're not sure how you're going to find the words, or is it the right time? And, you know, it may be a family matter, it may be something legal, it may be something that's important connected to your job. Now is the time to sit down and structure the way that you're going to have this conversation or how you're going to bring this conversation to light, because it's the time now where you've got the power of Pluto and giving you the ability or the opportunity there to be able to make changes in your life and to bring some transforming energies and bring some new solutions to the table. So it's a really perfect time now over this next couple of weeks. If you have been putting off having a very in-depth conversation or a very important conversation with somebody, now is the time to be sort of formulating that and moving forward with it, because it's the perfect time for that. I know that it seems this week's astrological chit chat has been very, very powerful. And I meant it to be powerful because sometimes with so many configurations in an astrology chart, when I look at the charts before the show, it really jumps out at me that, you know, this is a very powerful week. None of us need to really ignore it. We need to embrace it. We need to work with it. And we need to try and make choices and decisions that are right for us. Just because I've given you my wisdom and shared with you my insight doesn't necessarily make it law for you. You still have to apply your own common sense, what your own gut feeling's telling you, and what you feel is the right way moving forward. So it's really important that we work with the tools that we're given, but we don't necessarily say that this is the only way something can be dealt with. We take the information, we take the tools, we take the guidance, and then we try and apply it to our own lives. And if a piece doesn't fit, then ask yourself, why doesn't it fit? Why is it not for me? And then let it go. And then replace that with what your own personal wisdom is telling you or sharing with you, or what your gut is telling you, because then that becomes personal and it becomes right for you. Astrology never stops. The planets never stop moving around the universe. You know, energy never stops. You know, day always moves from nighttime into daytime, and then from daytime into nighttime. So the universe is a living, breathing thing. It doesn't stop, and neither do the planets, neither do the energies or the configurations that they make in the sky. It's how we interpret them as human beings and how we apply them to our lives, and whether or not we choose to work with the energy or to go against it. I can honestly say to you, if you choose to go against it, the universe will have a way of straightening things up or leveling the playing field or getting back to where they want you to be. So, you know, go your best. I mean, I've tried many, many times, and over my lifetime, to prove something wrong or to take my life in a different direction to what I could see astrologically, to only find out that I've wasted a lot of time and would have been better off not so much surrendering, but going with the flow and sort of really sort of maximising what was ahead of me instead of fighting it every step of the way. So, you know, that's a personal thing. We all learn as we go through life. That's what life is. It's one big learning curve from the time we take our first breath till we take our last breath. We're going to talk with Robin now in California, and I won't pronounce the area of California, Robin. Calusa. So in California. Are you there, Robin?
Yes.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, sweetie?
No, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to, anything that comes up.
All right, Robin, that's fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, because Robin doesn't have a specific question, I'm going to try and tune into her soul very quickly here on the show and see what her spirit guides and her higher self is wanting to share with Robin as far as some sort of guidance. The first thing that they're showing me, Robin, is that there is some endings, changes or transformations coming up. So I can only take from that the last 6 months of 2022, you seem to be consciously working on tidying up many areas of your life. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Well, they're showing me now that we're almost there. It's like almost I can get the red pen and go tick, but we've got just a tiny little bit more to go. So sometimes, Robin, that might seem like it's the hardest bit because it sort of seems so stubborn or so intense. Just go with it. Don't put a timetable on it. Just allow things to go at their own pace. Interestingly enough, they're showing me too, Robin, that I don't know how to word this. I'll just give it to you as I see it. They're saying to me, you have little or no patience with fools now. So I'm taking from that with fools, with people that are in your life, if they're doing something you consider stupid or foolish or a waste of your time and energy, you're not going to put yourself in that position anymore. Have you found that also, that some people that really sort of are not worth your time or effort anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And that's a hard thing when you get to that point, isn't it, Robin, to sort of turn around and say, well, gee, you know, I've been friends with this person for such a long time, and then all of a sudden you have the epiphany moment that you're wasting your time and energy trying to help them. But these are all parts of your growth. And I want to say to you, don't dismiss it and sort of say you're becoming too hard, because you're certainly not doing that, Robin. What you're doing is you're fine-tuning who Robin is, what Robin stands for, and what you need to go forward in your life. I feel by June this year, you're going to find there's going to be many new doors that are going to start to swing open for you. And it's like, let's just be ready to go with that. Let's not try and force anything between now and then. Take it hour by hour or day by day, whatever comes up, deal with that to the best of your ability and then let it go, and then be ready for the next part that unfolds. But I do feel that you've got an exciting era coming up, particularly I'm going to go back to again June. It's sort of like everything comes to a head in June. It's like I can fling the doors open, I can feel the sunshine coming in, I feel very positive, I feel very excited, and I feel like I've done a lot of work on yourself and on your life to that point that this is going to be your reward, that, things that you've held dear that you would have loved to have come into your life before are going to slowly start to come in, because this is what you deserve. So I hope that's been of help to you, Robin.
Yes, it has. Thank you.
Okay. You're very, very welcome. We're going to talk with Ida in Hinstown, Louisiana. Are you there, Ida?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
What a pretty name. Do you have a question I can answer for you, Ida?
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to know what if I'm going to come out of this slump. As far as my future, am I going to come out of the slump that I'm in, or am I going to stay where I am? And my relationship, where's it going?
Okay, Ida. Look, it's always interesting when we feel as human beings that we're in a slump, or we're in a position in our lives that we can't see a way out, or we can't see a positive conclusion. And I think we then tend to become more frustrated because we feel like we're no longer in the driver's seat or the master of our own universe. And yes, we are and we aren't, I suppose. I believe that our lives are mapped out for us before we take a breath. But where our free will comes in is how we handle a situation or how we react to something. So it's interesting that you feel like you're in a sort of a slump, as if you're stuck in something that you can't seem to sort of, get a solution to sort of to find your way out of the fog, so to speak. But it is coming, Ida. I'd like to go back to the relationship before I address the slump that you feel like you're in your life. It's interesting because when I try and look at the relationship, it's like I look at it and it's like I'm not seeing things clearly. So I can only take from that maybe you're trying to find answers in the relationship too hard. You know what I mean? Like you're looking too hard, you're looking too intense, and that's why you're not getting answers. Maybe again, if we just relax a little bit and let things sort of take their own course of events, maybe then you'll see the answers or the clarity that you're seeking there. I didn't necessarily feel that this relationship was going to finish. I just felt in its current form it can't continue on in the way that it is, because there's no growth there. It's like everything in the garden of relationship is at a standstill. It doesn't matter how much water, how much fertilizer we put on it, it's not growing. Now, that can be because that's how you feel in your life, but it can also be because your partner's feeling exactly the same way. So I think by putting too much energy in there, I think we're actually preventing it from growing, if that makes any sense, Ida?
Yes, it does.
So I want to sort of ask you to sort of just relax a little bit, I think we get too obsessed sometimes in life that so many things have got to happen and we've got to make it all happen by this date or this birth date or whatever, instead of just sort of saying, okay, let's exhale and let's look at what I need to achieve today and just do that. And then tomorrow do the same thing. And I think you'll find then we'll start to break up this momentum. I think your partner is equally as concerned about the relationship as you are, but they don't know where to start. They're terrified if they say too much or speak their mind or whatever. It might sound wrong, it might come out wrong, and it might create more drama in the relationship. And that's the last thing that they want. They can see that you're not happy, and they're sort of trying to work out why you're not happy and how can they make it, make you happy. And it's just sort of like a vicious circle. And it's like we're getting nowhere fast. And that's why I think if we relax a little bit and take the focus off that directly and just focus on, today I've got to do the laundry, I've got to go to the grocery store, I've got to go to work. Focus on what seems like the menial tasks, and we can tick those off our list, and then tomorrow we go on to the next list, and I think you'll find things will start to improve. Would it be fair to say in this last couple of years your relationship's really gone through a testing period because of so many other life events, of things that happened around the two of you that sort of overflowed into the relationship, like you didn't really have a chance to just focus on each other?
Right. You're right. Yes.
Yeah, and I just want to let that settle down. Do you know what I mean? I mean, sometimes I think life is the thing that gets in the road, and sort of, you know, when we're too busy trying to put out the spot fires in our lives, we don't have time for each other. You know, we get a bit snappy, or we get a bit short-tempered, or, you know, things that normally wouldn't bother you become a major thing because all of a sudden your nervous system feels frazzled and you're at your end of your tether. I don't think there's anything too much wrong with this relationship. I truly don't. I think you just haven't had a chance to just be and to enjoy each other and to sort of let everything sort of calm down. And I feel by, you know, look, as early as next month, I think we're going to start to see some slight improvement there, Ida. It's really interesting in how life gets in the road of our relationships. And I think that's been the major problem here, is the fact that, you know, you have had so many other things that you've had to contend with, to deal with, that you haven't had the time there to really sort of just focus on each other and just enjoy being in each other's company and laughing at the silly things in life. So it's like, I just want to sort of say to you, take a few deep breaths. Don't be in too much of a hurry to try and sort everything out. I think by as early as next month, I feel that there's going to start to be some slight improvement in the relationship. You know, there'll be a little bit more laughter, a little bit of an easing of the tension. By the time we get to about June, July, August, it's like the relationship is really back to being the best it's ever been, and probably even better than when it was at its peak, when it was really amazing. And you sort of, you look at it then and you think, what was I so worried about? You know, life seems to have calmed down. Our relationship is starting to really pick up again. You know, we're enjoying being with each other. Life is starting to settle down again. And I think that, you know, and there's also a little bit more money there too. And I mean, you know, there's been a real struggle with finances in this last 2.5, 3 years too. Every time you got a little bit of a run on, something came along and sort of flattened the reserves again of, you know, where we were, what we were trying to achieve. So I hope that's helped you, because it's been a really difficult journey for the two of you, hasn't it, in this last couple of years?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and
Yes,
you know, and I don't want you to lose faith in love itself. You know, sometimes the shine of love goes off not because we fall out of love with each other, but because life intervenes and starts to sort of erode away at the base of our what was once upon a time a secure relationship. And I think that's what's been happening here, Ida. It's like, you know, I don't want to see you throw this away, because I still think there's far too much there. And I know your partner feels the same way, but they feel out of their depth. They just don't know what to do to try and make it right. And that's why I think if we try and take the pressure off it and not constantly focusing on it, that it will start to you'll start to find your way back to each other without consciously doing it, if that makes any sense.
Right, I understand. Yes, it does.
Yeah, and you know, look, it's so hard, Ida. I mean, you know, you've been through so much, and you know, and I mean, without airing everything on air here, I can just see that, you know, this last 3 years in particular have been difficult on many levels, not just on a financial level, not just on an emotional level. It's sort of like every time that you thought things were going to start to calm down, it was like something else came in bigger, better, and harder than the last lot. And it's like, you know, you're running out of patience now to deal with anything else that life would throw at you. And I think that's the problem. So that's why I'm suggesting let's just sort of try and take the edge off it, and I think things will improve drastically, Ida. Because I really do feel that this relationship shouldn't end. There's too much there. You know, you both still love each other. It's just life got in the road.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I hope that's helped you, sweetie, because, you know, the two of you really do deserve to find some happiness there, and you're not finding that at the moment because there's just so much else that's keeps being piled on top of you. It's like taking the laundry basket, it's already full, and then we try and add another 3 baskets on top with nothing to support it. That's how your life's been feeling. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave Ida now. I know that her and her partner are going to find happiness again, and they're going to find that their lives are going to unfold in a much, much better way as 2023 starts to unfold. And it's interesting that I think many of us can take a message out of what I just shared with Ida. You know, the last few years have been difficult for many, many people. There's been forced changes, things that we could never have begun to imagine that could have changed or been presented to us in our lives, and not just with the pandemic, but that was a major part for many, many people. And it still seems to be sort of like you just sort of start to breathe a sigh of relief, and then all of a sudden they're talking about another vaccination or another booster shot or another bout of whatever. So we don't seem to be able to sort of come out the other side from that. So, of course, we're all battle weary and things like that. And we need to just sort of, I think, start living in the moment, you know, start to break your day up into much, much smaller pieces. And then I think you'll find that things will be a hell of a lot more manageable than what they have been. So this week I want to leave you with a song that's a very old song, but a very beautiful song, and one of my favourites. You know, look, I might be a huge David Cassidy fan, and I certainly am a John Farnham fan, but I like many, many different forms of music, and particularly I love the Motown music. That's one of my most favourite genres of music, and one of the first people that I ever really sort of fell in love with as far as a singer and from Motown was when I was a very young girl, and I won a record from a record station. It was by Stevie Wonder, and that was called For Once in My Life, and that started my love affair with Stevie Wonder's music. But this week I want to leave you with one of his more beautiful songs. I think that's something that we could all do with a little bit more of. I Just Called to Say I Love You, and I think it's a very appropriate song as we head towards Valentine's Day next week. I think we could all do with a little bit more love in our lives, and let's hope that, you know, we all start to find some love and things to be happy about. So until next week, I'll leave you with Stevie Wonder. Bye for now.